Hebrides Overture, and Violin Concerto in E minor, and Wagner's D.
Yeah.
Good evening,
Stereo.
out there in TV land.
Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting of the Sewer Commission to order on the 29th of October, 2013, here in the Town Hall. Okay, and first on the agenda is appointments, and we have our first quarterly review with Small Water, our contractor for maintenance of the system, and I think if you could step to the mic, Bruce, and introduce yourself. And
Well, I'm Bruce Trumbull, one of the co-owners of Small Water Systems, your sewer operator. I guess this is the quarter in review. So I'm just going to go through some bullet items that we presented you. You guys have a handout on this. If there's any questions, Al, Debbie, and Mike are here with me. They'll fill in the details, okay? So let's just jump off. This is just going to summarize a list of vendor quotes, our services, some impending upgrades for some stations that we had talked about, SCADA and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to tell you some of the maintenance that was performed here and the hours that it took. And so we'll work through. The first bullet item is the average time spent. Monday through Thursday is we've had a 2-hour day here in town, and Friday we do a little more maintenance and preventative stuff, and we spend 4 to 6 hours here, just kind of as a more thorough check once a week. Property maintenance included this quarter. We repaired some station fences, we mowed lawns, we weed whacked, we painted some pump stations, not the whole stations, but as needed. We did some touch-up for you guys. We did a driveway repair, and we've done some generator repairs and some fluid top-offs. So the stations are all in pretty good order, and next we'll go through some of the breakdowns that we had and troubles that we had in the month, and we'll go through them one at a time. And if you have any questions, like I say, Alan, Mike are here to answer your questions. So Leominster Street Station on 8/27/13, Unitil, we dropped a leg off of our three-phase off the street, and it gave us a bunch of problems on the Prospect Street lines. We were out here, it took us 4 hours to kind of get through it. We worked with the utility, and we got back to, we had 3 legs of power, everything was back up and running. Al had to run around, reset a bunch of stuff, and so that was 4 hours, and I guess noted on here, those are hours that we owe you and not charged to the town. The next thing that happened on the dates of 9/25 through 9/17, for a total of 9/27 was for a total of 15 hours of operated time, and it also had some charges from hall pump labor charges. The trouble call was a blown transformer.
Transducer, sorry.
What's that?
Transducer.
Transducer, sorry. It was a blown transducer, and the repair work included bypassing the transducer, and we put some mechanical floats in to kind of take care of business while we were doing all that. About 1 week later, we also learned that the CPU had problems. Any questions about that, you can ask either Mike or Al. There's a proposed long-term repair, replacement for your CPU and programming that we'll present to you guys tonight. It's on the last page of the handout that we had, and I guess Mike will speak to that after I'm through here. It's a pretty good deal. I know you guys saw the last estimates that I had. There were some rough estimates. I worked with Bob, and we got them to you guys, and you took a look. This is a much better number. It's a much simpler. It's expansive. You can buy in a little or a lot. It's got some flexibility for you guys. And I think it's a good program. You'll think that give it some serious consideration. Then we had Leominster Street call out at 5 a.m. one morning.
October 2nd, sorry, I missed it.
Oh, sorry.
I left it up.
October 7th. We just had, time to time, stuff comes down the line, it wraps around the electrodes. and they cease to work, and that happens not quite often, but it happens on a regular basis. We come on in, we clean up your electrode for you and get you back in service as quick as possible. On 10/7/13, Mass Ave lost power. There was a wire down in front of the school. I guess 7 pump stations were affected. It was kind of a busy day for us. We kind of ran around and made sure we got you all back up and running, and made sure generators were doing their things. The system performed very well during that emergency time. We were very pleased with it. On 10/23, Francis Station called out. That was a low tank level, and again, it was from obstruction to the probe. They don't work well when they get wrapped up in solids from the waste stream. We cleaned that, put it back online, and went on with our day. On the 28th of October, we had the same issue in waste in West Street, and with the same result. We cleaned it up, put it back online. Total cost for Swiss services and callouts and vendor labor was just a little over $4,000, 22% of your total billing. Next item is additional property and grounds repairs and upkeep that we will be requesting from you at time to time. You guys can just take it under consideration and do as much or as little as you want. It's kind of our wish list. If
Just so you know.
how you doing? Hold on. Just 1 second. I'm on page 2. I'm on page 2, about halfway down, additional, our wish list. So it's just a little wish list that we like to keep you guys apprised of when you want to fund some of this stuff. We'd be happy to, help you out with it. It includes some Dana Street work, Leominster Street, and Electric Ave and Mass Ave. The one we would like to see, if we could, is Electric Ave. It's kind of a dangerous situation there with us backing out into traffic blind. We kind of take our chances, but some of you townsfolks, you know what I mean? We hate to back in them and ruin their day. So if at all possible, we'd like to get that expanded so we can get a truck in, turn it around, and drive out. It will make it a lot safer for your townsfolk and ourselves also. So that's kind of like, would be the top of that hit list for us. We have a spare parts request here. There's a whole litany of them that we would like to have purchased at some time, put it in the budget and see if we can get them for spares. Much needed, so you can go through those, and Al will give you a rundown of what they are and where they're used and all that, if you have any questions on that.
Interject here for a second. We were gonna have,
Could you come up to the speaker?
Yeah, you need to come to the mic.
we were gonna have, some of you guys were gonna set up accounts with local stores, so if we needed stuff, Al's gone in a couple of places and bought paint or this or that, and I said, there's supposed to be accounts, and he said they're not set up yet, so. Let me know where. Okay. Or where you want to go, and we'll set up the. He's donated a couple of cans of paint to the town of Leominster, out of his own heart. Not even ours, his, so he did it. I said, Al, what are you doing that for? He goes,
Took one on the chin for the team. Moving on. Your last page here is the quote that I mentioned before from Hall Pump. He found a nice little setup. He's very excited about this. This is a whole new way of doing things. It's kind of different from how we did things in the past. There's a lot of these things in service now, so it's not new tech. I wouldn't lay you on something that's brand new and unproven. This is proven technology. It works. It's just a lot simpler, a lot easier. It's expandable. I'd like to call him up now and see if he would talk on this a little bit with you guys, if you have some questions about this and everything. This is important stuff for us. This would really be a big help for us, and a cost savings for you guys. So,
Right. Yeah, look forward to that.
If Mike could come on up and kind of talk to this, that would be great. All right.
Oh, you guys, I'm Mike Palsy from Hall Pump. Over at Leominster Road, we had that initial problem with the transducer that he had talked about. Those transducers barely ever fail. The reason they're failing is due to a short inside that CPU. The only way to change that is to upgrade the CPU to a new one. You guys had talked when we had first started doing this to upgrade to the SCADA system. So me and my technician sat down and came up with this more cost-effective way of doing it. The only thing that he specifies is that the stations would need to have internet brought to them. They right now have phone lines run to them, but they would need internet in order to get online access to the actual system. This one system that he has drawn up and designed will work for all 10 stations, and the price will go down per station as it gets easier. You'll be able to access it online, be able to run everything. You guys, anyone from the town will have access to the websites. You can look at the stations. They'll be able to run pumps, do maintenance checks, hour checks, all that stuff right from their cell phones, laptops, have accessibility with all of it. On the quote, you'll see that it specifies that you'll need IP addresses for each station also. That has actually just changed as of yesterday. They found a new way of doing it through Join Me. It's another internet web provider that actually gives you the IP addresses for free. Every day they're finding newer and easier ways to do all this stuff, so that system right there is the cheapest and the best I've found in the local area. It gets away from the multi-trode probes that they're cleaning off daily, and it'll go to what Mass 1, Leominster Road, and Dana Street have, which would be the transducers. You don't have to clean them off. They literally sit there and you never have to touch them. Leominster Road definitely is going to need the upgrade. If you guys recommend this, I can get everything ordered and go right ahead with the installation. Right now, we have the system running again the way it was, but that CPU, it's only a matter of time before it shorts out that transducer again. Other than that, you have any questions on it?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes,
Do you say for all 10 stations, this price?
It'll actually go down for the other stations. This right here, this is per station.
Per station,
yeah.
Per
This
station.
right here is a high number right now because they don't know they don't know exactly how much programming is actually going to come into it right off the bat. But once they get one, the actual labor rates will go down.
Could you get us a price for all 10 stations as well? Or I should say from 1 to 10 stations?
This price right now, until we actually do the one and see how much I can actually drop the price after the fact, I couldn't really come up with a number off the top of my head.
Okay.
It's really up to my technician because he's the one that has to write the programming. Once he gets the first program written up, it's literally just transferring it over in minute changes. So that'll be up to him to determine after we get the first one done.
Okay. And the other question I have is, as far as internet capacity, are we wireless now on our flow meters? How are we collecting the data on the flow? Is that a wireless system we got going?
Yes.
So can we go wireless?
Yeah.
There's a possibility in the local area. It's very hard to get service. You'd have to talk to where you get the wireless, as long as there's a connection that they can get to, because with wireless you would have, what, a modem inside the stations. As long as you have a steady internet connection at the station, wireless will work.
Well, we have, there's phone wires coming in already, correct?
There's phone lines right now.
Yeah, so
but to
I
do-
think we could price it to see what it would cost to have internet brought in at the same time.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
you'd be able to
Yeah.
pretty much get rid of the phone lines and just switch it to internet. So whatever you're paying for the phone line in there, you'd cancel that out and get internet.
which would,
Yeah.
which would make sense.
Well, you know, are you gonna run through that dialer, or is that all run through the SCADA? How am I gonna get my alarms?
Your alarms will actually come through the SCADA system.
That's what I just want to.
Yep, the SCADA system will actually send out and trigger all alarms. You can do it through email, messaging, phone call,
if all 10 were on the same system.
Each one, that's with why they were saying you'd need an IP address for each station, because they would set it up with your major web page, and then you would access each station separately through the IP address.
So a scenario is if we go with the Leominster Street connection first, let's just say we go with that. So we put wireless in there or the internet. The other ones would still stay online as far as the telephone, so you'll still be getting your calls for the other 9 stations.
Right.
And the 10th one would be, okay.
It's a beginning process. The computer system in that station needs to be changed out anyway, and the price to change out that CPU unit and completely reprogram it and get it into the station, you're looking at about the same price. It's maybe $1,000 less, but this will be bringing you into the new age with the SCADA, which you guys had asked about possibly bringing in anyway, so.
Mike, I had one more question. I noticed that they lost a leg of power there.
Yeah.
That happened to me a couple years back at my store.
Yep.
And it burnt out just about every electronic I had hooked up at the time. Unitel stepped in and paid for it.
Yep.
Is what's going on here any relation to losing that leg of power? Because I noticed it all seems like it all...
If it was losing that leg of power that caused that transducer to blow up, it would have completely fried that CP unit and shut it down completely. The fact that it's still working the way it is, we've measured everything through it. It hasn't lost any of its memory. It hasn't gone through anything, but you're getting minute electrical currents through it that shouldn't be.
I guess like in my scenario, a lot of the electronics, some of them work, but they just didn't work like they used to, like...
Right. All this stuff is running off of 24 volts. You have 120 main power up for the unit, but then everything else going through it is all 24 volts. You're looking at 4 to 20 milliamps, and you have 1 extra milliamp going through there when it's not supposed to. It messes everything up.
Yeah. Just in case there was an avenue that we could, approach Unitel with, that's all.
If it was to lose a leg while those pumps were running and blow up one of the pumps or the compressors or anything like that, I would definitely say that had a part in it. But with that computer, usually a direct lightning strike is pretty much the only thing that would possibly go into that panel and cause a major issue like that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mike, one more question. Was Unitel notified about the leg going out?
Yes, they were.
They were notified?
I actually handled that.
Okay. And your name?
My name's Al. I work for Small Water.
Say hello to everyone in Lunenburg there. Hey, Al.
I contacted Unitel. They found a line on Prospect Street that was down.
Okay.
It was just disconnected from the transformer or wherever. I really never talked to them. I just made the phone call, and they were up and running.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
thank you.
Back to you, Bruce.
Okay, so that's kind of like the wrap-up of the quarter. As long as you have all your questions answered and you're good with that, that's the end of our report. Okay?
Any additional questions from the commission?
So it just would have been nice to have this before we did our budget.
We'll, we'll get you more timely information as we go along.
Well, let's put all our cards on the table. How do you feel it's going to your first quarter?
We're very pleased. We're continuing working on a system that was well-maintained before we got here. Yeah, we're still smiling. Corey, put in a good product. We took over a viable system, and we've made it a little better, but it was basically great when we got here, and it's still doing its thing. So hopefully with the addition of a few things that we've asked here from the board, we'll make this thing a little more bulletproof.
If I could, Mr. Chair, when we hired Small Water, we did make a commitment that we're going to upgrade our pumps, since the pumps is our biggest asset for our business. So I want to thank you for doing your job as far as bringing us solutions to that. but I probably have a couple of questions for Mr. Roder. It's Jack from the DPW in regards to the list that's here.
Yeah, because I also had one question, which maybe Jack would answer, I don't know, but the, on Dana Street Station, saying the roadway needs to be paved, and it sounds like it's due to snow plowing or something. What, could you complete the story on Dana Street and why it needs to be paved?
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of Dana Street, where it comes off the main road,
Right.
there's probably a 3-foot electrical box, which I saw the boys out there paving. They paved the very end, they fixed it where it was sticking up, but there is an electrical box inside the first gate that the cover's completely missing, and it's got a metal grate over it, but it's probably 4 inches off the ground. It's it's the way to get in. If they don't plow it, it'll be fine, but if they plow it, it's coming up. So that whole road isn't paved, or if we were just to fix around the cover, that's fine too. But the actual plastic composite cover that sits on top is missing.
It's missing.
Yeah.
Okay. Jack, I wonder if I could put you on the spot, and does this sound familiar to you at all, or maybe you're already working on it?
Hi, how's everybody?
Thanks, Jack.
Good, Jack. Good. Yes, I mean, some of these things we're aware of the 3 pages. Most of them we're not. We're seeing these numbers for the first time. These things, Dana Street, as they said, we did off of Whalum Road, took care of that end.
Right.
As you know, Dana Street, is one of these paper streets, that's another whole story. And, whatever needs to be done inside the gate for winter operations will certainly be done.
Okay.
I'm seeing some of this for the first time, but it's certainly doable.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, my opinion of it's gone well. These folks are, call me each time they want to spend a certain amount of money or any money, and I think that's the way it should go. So right there, that shows you it's a good beginning.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't have secondary calls, tertiary calls, where somebody else is being called means it's being handled. It's one of those no news is good news kind of situations. Right. And we anticipated this to happen, and we're quite pleased that it's happening as well. The problem about getting accounts set up, we'll certainly get the account set up. We just need to know where. Thank you for the contribution of the paint. Otherwise, otherwise we'll look at these things, and I'd like to go over with staff this number here about the SCADA system. It's certainly not unanticipated. I understand what's in there now is functioning, but it's likely to happen again. Right. So it's a step we want to take, even if it's a step in stages, as they mentioned, 1 through 10, or whatever we can afford. So what I'd like to do at this point, we'll get some people together from our end with the vendor and go over what he has to say. We already have done that preliminarily, waiting for this estimate. First time we've seen the estimate today, so we want to look at it. It looks great, and make a recommendation to the commission.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Jack. Any specific question, Dave, that you had, or?
Yeah, Jack, as far as the parts, I don't see a problem with that, do you?
No.
They're asking for, it's stock items, I would think.
No, I don't see, I'm not looking for problems, and so far, every problem has been handled, so quite pleased so far.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
No, Mr. Chair, I got to say, I'm also pleased, and again, thank you guys for doing the job and doing it well.
Yeah.
And let's keep on going.
Yeah, I'd say we're all very happy. It's, as Jack says, it's been very quiet, which is always a good sign in this area.
I'll get this out to you soon.
Sorry, yeah.
Can't stop talking. Future quarterly reports, I'll make sure I get it out before the meeting, so you have a chance to look at it. Sorry to spring it on you in front of everybody. Hey, Jack, look at this. I'm sorry about that.
That's the best way to do it during TV. You guys getting this?
The commission's patient. There are no huge decisions that have to be made, not to minimize the 6,700, but we'll get back to the recommendation shortly.
Yeah. I appreciate your willingness to try to get it to us a little ahead, then we can maybe make some decisions at the meeting even, so that would be good. I also appreciate in the report that you identified sort of the, where you stand cost-wise, because it's always good to keep an eye on that, and I appreciate your being, forthright with that, and I'm happy you're on track.
We had talked about that at the beginning, so I thought you'd want to know where we were at.
Absolutely.
Everything was good?
Yeah, very good.
Oh, very good.
We're all happy then.
All happy.
Good job,
Same
Deb.
on
good
this
way to
side,
go.
too.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good job. Appreciate it.
Start. So we hope a long relationship.
Okay. You're set free if you like. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I
Have a
really
good night.
appreciate it.
You guys have a good Halloween and holiday coming up too, if we don't see you.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, just before we get back to the regular agenda, on our normal reminders here, if anyone's listening out there, I hope they are, or will watch the replays. We have a few things. The grease trap, we had a special deal, so to speak, out for the grease trap people who came back by the end of October. We've had pretty good response, but not 100%, maybe 50% or so, roughly, which we were hoping for better, and we're right at the end of October. So if anybody's out there who hasn't responded yet, please, you may have to hand deliver to Barb now to catch the deadline. Otherwise, the fees are going to be, instead of $100, the permit, I'm sorry, not fees, permit, instead of $100 is going to be $250. And effective in November, we will start paying a lot closer attention to receiving the reports that are required per the regulation. And if we don't receive them, then we will start looking at penalties and additional fees. So please avoid all that. We don't want to go down that path, but we can't do so without your help. So the other thing is our other amnesty, so to speak, that is about to run out is any illegal connections. Again, that was till the end of October. So all you need to do is come forward, not correct anything, but to come forward and get on record. So again, that at this point would take a personal visit to Barb, but that would keep the door open and at least start the dialogue of of what the issue is and if it's serious or not. So please consider the grease trap and the illegal connection, again, which includes sump pumps and any connections to the system clearly that are not fully authorized and permitted. So please consider that. The end of October is the deadline, though, and we will start paying more attention to these things.
It's in 2 days.
2 days. Okay. Did I miss anything we're supposed to remind? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so there's no public here. Jack, unless Jack wants to make a public comment, we'll go past the public comment phase.
Well, Jack, I hear they all left. Something you said?
All right, first on the agenda then is Lunenburg Village 40B, and I guess I can just report for those of you who didn't watch it on TV. I'm sure you're all were watching. The Zoning Board of Appeals had another meeting, and I attended that, presented the positions that we had all agreed to. I'll summarize them. Maybe I won't. There were essentially three issues that were outstanding that we needed to respond to. One was the connection fees, and on the connection fees, the question there was whether the applicant had to pay the new connection fee that was effective the 1st of July, which is $2,250, or the prior fee, which was $1,760. And the commission came to the conclusion with legal input on all of these, quite frankly, but on this one as well, that the because it's a 40B and has some special rules associated with it, that fee would be the fee on the filing date, the original filing date, so preceded our increase, so it would be the 1760. Again, it's unique to 40B, though. I want to make that clear. All other connections are at the time of the permit to connect is when the fee is set. So whatever the current fee is at the time of a permit to connect is the fee that people would pay. So as of today, it's the $22.50 for all other cases. The second area of interest was in the privilege fees. Here in the original comprehensive permit, there was an agreement between the developer and the Sewer Commission that as a consideration for the developer putting a sewer line with laterals down Pleasant View Ave, that we would waive 16 of the 16 at that time affordable housing units would not have to pay privilege fee. The developer requested that in this modification, there are 4 new low-income or affordable units added, and he was requesting waivers on those 4 as well. The commission did not agree with that. There was no other concessions or no other offers made to offset that. So it was our position and our recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals that the original 16 stand and that no more be granted. Now the Zoning Board of Appeals has the ability, it's their call to make any further concessions, but it was the recommendation of the Sewer Commission that only the 16 original ones be waived. What was the third one, Barb?
Connection fees.
Connection fee, privilege
I&I
fee.
fee.
I&I, there you go. Thank you, Jay. The last point, there is a new inflow and infiltration fee that we were required, quite frankly, to add to any new connections to the system effective again July 1st. Our original input to the ZBA was that fee should be paid because again that is due at the time of the permit to connect, which has not yet been filed in the 40B. But again, just as the connection fees, for the 40B, everything defaults back to the date of the original application, which predated the I&I fee. So the Sewer Commission, again, at the advice of council, decided not to try to apply those fees to this program, to this development. So that was all presented. There was the only place that developer has any disagreement is on the 4 additional waivers. They still are requesting that from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Zoning Board of Appeals will make the final decision, as I said. Otherwise, we and the developer are 100% aligned with what the fees would be. That's it. Any questions, comments on Lunenburg Village? And we have received the plan, which I haven't reviewed. Okay.
Well, Mr. Che did a good job. We saw you. So.
There was one person.
Did they come up with an answer yet? The
ZBA.
the SBA. Did they?
ZBA.
The ZBA. I mean.
I think the next meeting is the 12th or 13th.
It must be ZBA.
One of those dates is the next meeting, and they're going to have a draft conclusion ruling at that time. So presumably they'll come to the final conclusion, and then they'll close the meeting at that point.
The I&I fee, that was from Leominster, right? Is that what we're talking
The
about?
one, yes,
That was
yeah, the one
initiated
that
from
exactly. Yeah.
City of Leominster? Is that?
Yeah, which comes from the state to Leominster, and then due to our IMA or intermunicipal agreement with Leominster, we had to add it
Right.
to our system too for all new. And for anyone who doesn't know what that is, the inflow and infiltration. This is water that enters the sewer system unintentionally, either through runoff, cracked pipes, high groundwater levels. Yeah, not sump pump. That's above and beyond I&I. I said unintentionally. But what that fund is for, and that the state again is driving, is that a fund be set up to help correct situations that are letting water into the system that shouldn't be there. So it's a very important, and we've spent a lot of our money to date in trying to find out where these problems are and solving some of them. But there's a lot of work to do. So that's what that fund will be used for. Okay. All right. 60 Mass Ave, permit to connect.
We discussed it at the last meeting, and the indemnification form was signed and received, and the permit to connect has been issued. So.
Super. Okay, next on the agenda is Lancaster Ave extension. There's good progress here, but it's not done, unfortunately. We've been trying and pushing hard to get this closed out, both us and the residents. We all want to get it behind us so that the residents can connect. The construction is basically complete. We have one area of concern, but it's only a worry bead at this point about the manhole and how that's going to behave with when the water table comes up. But we'll only know that when the water table comes up. And but the construction is complete, and the construction is acceptable to DPW Director Jack and to the Commission. I wish that was the end of it, but because it was privately funded, the majority of the focus right now is securing the warranty for the system because when the town takes it over, since we didn't have the construction contract, we don't have any coverage for that. So right now we are working with the residents in their conveyance document where they will convey the system to the town to get that warranty covered. I think that's the biggest open issue right now. There are some other little minor details, one check that needs to be received, but I think everything is fine except, as usual, the paperwork. We have paperwork to do, and taking the position that until that's complete, we will not officially accept the line. So we're hoping that right now it's primarily in the residents' hands. Of the 7 residents, I think we have conveyances from 3, Barb?
3 out of 7.
3 out of 7. So 4 of the residents still owe us the conveyances, and as soon as that's complete, we're ready to go. We don't need to have another meeting. Between Jack, the DPW, and myself, we can. The commission has voted and given us the authority to independently accept the system, which shows how we're trying to work with the residents to not hold this up one more day than necessary, but we do need everything complete. Any comments or questions on the Lancaster Ave extension? No? Okay. Get everything important, Barb? Okay.
Mr. Chair, one question.
Yes.
Has any resident scheduled to put their E1s in now before?
Yeah, and we can't accept it until the line is accepted.
No, but I mean, the residents can order their E1 and get it ready to go.
Well, the line's not working, is it?
It's just waiting.
The line's ready to go. In my discussion with the resident who's sort of coordinating this, and I made that comment because, and I think I said Dave would say, but the response was that at least the contractor that they were working with would not schedule to put the system in until he was able to connect.
Okay.
So, as you can kind of understand, right? Come back and all that. So we just need to get it done, and it's so close. We just need 4 more pieces of paper from 4 of the residents, and I think we're there. Okay. Racetrack compliance status. God, I'm gonna have to turn over some of these things.
We have new. I don't know if anybody wants. I have an updated checklist of the Lancaster Ave. Sorry, I was even on the job.
It's okay.
Jack's email. I think we're okay, right?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a new spreadsheet on the grease traps and what's come in. It's abbreviated. It goes on about over here. And then each vendor or each establishment has its own file. I can get more in depth maybe as we go on. But this tells you who has submitted the permit, what we show as having internal and external equipment. So it's a beginning.
So as we said, there's about, what, 30 establishments roughly that we're tracking. The bad news is that only half of them have responded, so half of them are about to go very delinquent and in terms of the permit and also compliance in terms of reports. So again, I really encourage everyone out there to please, please get up to speed on this, because we've got more important things to do than chase people around for reports and fees.
Mr. Chair, has Walmart responded back?
No, they have not.
They don't have one.
I think they do.
Okay, so there are a couple specific things ongoing. One of we reviewed last week a letter from the United Parish. I guess not,
Right.
United Parish questioning whether they needed to comply with this regulation. There's been a lot of activity there, including I went down and looked at the kitchen myself. They do not have a grease trap. It doesn't look like they require one. However, that needs to be made more official than that statement by me. They do not have a 3-bay sink, which triggers a grease trap. So they do not have one of those. They don't have a dishwasher. As far as, they said, and even town records that we look at, they don't really prepare food there. They warm food and serve it. They do prepare food and have community dinners at 39 Main, but not but they're not connected to the sewer. So it looks like there won't be an issue here. The last discussion today was Gary Williams, plumbing inspector, does want to go down and just take a look to make sure that everything's okay and no trap is required. And if that comes back that way, then they're completely without a trap. They don't have to comply with the requirements.
Mr. Chair, on
Yes,
the list, number 9.
Number 9. Oh, can we come back to that? Just let me finish the church thing.
I'm sorry?
Is this relative to the church?
No.
Come back to
No,
it.
let me come back to that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
just
sorry.
a 1 minute. I've lost my train of thought.
Gary Williams.
Yeah, so Gary, I'm expecting to get a call from Gary. John Mill actually talked to Gary, and he said he wanted to come down. He'll get a hold of me, but again, I think it's just to check the box on that. But to make clear, this is a learning experience, and to share with everyone here is the building inspector, the plumbing inspector really is inspecting to make sure that the codes are met. And if there's a 3-bay sink, then it requires a grease trap. As I keep peeling this onion, so the question is, I'm sure in your mind right now is, well, who decides whether the 3-bay sink is required? So you quickly go back through, the Board of Health has a role in this. I've been talking to the Neshoba Board of Health, and they would get involved in terms of the need for a 3-bay sink, but it really goes back to, I can't remember the agency's name. It's
Neshoba Board of Health?
no, it's the food.
Let me have it here.
That email.
Yep. State and federal food code.
Yeah, it's really the state and federal food code, that, that makes the decision of what they need. And any establishment is supposed to submit their plans to the Board of Health, which goes to this other agency, and they're the ones who trigger this whole thing. So it's a pretty interesting chain, but if you don't go back to the beginning, I could see if people come in the middle, it's unmanageable, because, okay, I don't put a 3-bay sink in, then I don't need a grease trap. Well, we got to be careful, and we got to, unfortunately, we don't want to be in the business of all of these codes.
Well, it also goes with occupancy, what type of food you're selling, or cooking. And again, if you build a restaurant from the ground up, most of the engineers and architects know the code. But it's almost like same thing with beauty salon. If you open up a beauty salon, you're supposed to get your permits through the state of Massachusetts, or a nail salon. So I can see where grease traps are following that same category.
Okay, Dave, you had a question or comment on?
Number 9.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just looked at
Dollar Tree
number 9,
store.
yeah.
Oh, Dollar Tree store.
All of those, that's similar to CVS, Walmart. If they don't serve food, but they have the right to sell food, it's a different, and that's why it's a question. We need to either determine in our regs.
Not really. If it's a food preparation, then, and like Carl just said, if they prepare food,
Right.
you need a grease trap. If they sell food, you don't need a grease trap.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's quite clear. Walmart, on a different hands, though, they sell food, but they also prepared food. When McDonald's was in there, there was McDonald's in there at one time.
There's nothing there now.
No, but also when they have spoiled milk, usually grocery stores would dispose of that milk, and it goes into the drain, which is fats. So that's why we need to look. And they also sell meats, I think, up there. Do they sell meats in their frozen food department? So again, if they dispose of their meats, we need to see how they do that. And if you like, I can go up and talk to the manager, Mr. Chair, and just ask him. It may be that they send everything back, but most likely, if you have spilled ice cream, stuff like that, it goes into that process.
Wasn't there a Subway up there as well?
I'm sorry, but could you speak up?
Isn't there a Subway at Walmart?
Anymore.
Not anymore.
Whole Foods?
Yeah, there's no, yeah.
We know there's a grease trap because I think we took a tour up there and we saw it in the back of the building. May not be being used, but and also the Board of Health should have some sort of a permit also as on file if they're prepping food or anything like that. But I'll be glad to go up there. And
Yeah, we'd appreciate that. This is going to take some work and more than just one of us to really get this squared away with those kind of issues of who has to, who doesn't have it, and even and then working, with them so that everybody understands the regulations. But even to straighten out the regulations, because one of the things that in talking to the Neshoba Board of Health, and for anyone out there who has an internal grease trap, there's some, the regulation isn't real clear, and we'll work to clarify that, but if you have an internal grease trap, then you do not need to have it professionally, cleaned. You don't have to hire a licensed person, you or your employees, properly done, of course, can inspect and clean the internal grease trap. And that's per the regulations, so there's no conflict there. But the one thing we did learn in talking to the Neshoba Board of Health is that for the internal grease traps, and that was the only question I asked because the external and interceptors are very clear and there doesn't seem to be any confusion about that. But the internal ones are not so clear. In terms of the disposal of the grease, there is nothing according to the Board of Health, the Neshoba Board of Health, that requires that to be professionally removed or contained or anything else. It can be put, as some of the people that we visited, it can be put into a dumpster. So, and our regulation is at best unclear on that, or perhaps in conflict with that. So we need to correct that. But in the meantime, I just want to reassure everyone that if you have an internal grease trap, and you maintain it yourself, that's perfectly fine. You just need to do the reporting, of course, per the regulation, but the disposal of it has to be done, with consideration, but if you're putting it into a dumpster, that is acceptable, and we will modify we'll have to modify our regulation to comply with that. So we don't want to get everybody nervous.
That's for the grease trap, but not necessarily waste oil or anything else. That's just for that internal trap. So you can't just put waste oil, like, we want them to put that in a container, correct?
No, that can be that can go into a dumpster.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I think, to be clear, Bob, it's the grease you pull out of an internal grease trap inside. Not the external grease trap. The external still has to be done professionally and has to be signed off on. Internal grease trap, like the chair stated, can be done by the person, and you can dispose of it in a dumpster. I would personally make sure it goes into some sort of container before you put it in a dumpster, but because it will rot, or unless you have your dumpster emptied every week. Which is surprising, Mr. Chair.
I was surprised too, and that's why I wanted to go all the way to the authorities. And the last thing on the grease traps and procedures, there was a request for a waiver that we received prior to our last meeting from, who was this from?
Con for Hadwin.
Con.
Yep,
Okay.
he's waiting on that internal, but he was going to put forward, you asked for a specific waiver request, and he just needed to get the definition of how he was disposing of it defined to make sure we were good on that.
Okay. So he will, he does, from what this sounds like, he's been cleaning it out every 3 months and getting a small amount, which is fine. However, I don't think he needs a waiver. He needs to request permission to use the 25% rule. Right? So we need to make that clear to him, because it's not really a waiver. He just should be using the 25% rule, and then if it's 3 months before he hits 25%, then fine, he's complying.
Is there a source to, when they clean their grease traps, is there a source where they can go to get rid of that legally?
My understanding from the Board of Health is that there is no, it's legal to put it in a dumpster.
I know it's
As long as
illegal
your
to put it in a
dumpster
dumpster, but I'm
hauler-
saying, are there companies that will take that? I mean, you have companies that take waste oil.
Oh, yes, yeah. The license, all of the external grease traps, interceptors have to be pumped out by a licensed and removed by.
I'm talking what they take out of their internals, that they've been just tossing in the dumpster thus far.
I think the answer
I'm not sure I understand the
to that
question.
is the restaurants do have rendering companies that will come around and
take
will take the grease, yeah.
Right.
Well, then that's what they should sign up
They
for.
legally don't have to do that
don't
in this
right.
case, but
No, but they pay to take their grease. So if you had grease that you're storing, these companies will
Sure they do.
pay
yeah.
pay you for that. It's a biodegradable fuel now.
Okay. But to be clear, there are companies that will remove the grease. In some cases, I understand, we'll even pay people for the grease, but it's not illegal to put in a dumpster either.
It's not illegal?
Not illegal to put in a dumpster. That's what we've been advised by the Neshoba Board of Health.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on grease traps?
Twin City submitted their permit and also requested that, like you guys did before, just somebody come on site. They have 2 sites, and they've got a school and the church, and I'm confused as to which one. They paid more than they needed to, and they also have requested that someone come on site, but it doesn't specify whether it was the school or for the church. So it's on record that they're asking for a visit.
Okay. Sounds like a road trip, Dave.
I'll go.
So
That
they give
was
us the
just
contact?
today.
Okay.
And we'll go up to Walmart from there and take the loop around.
That's a handout if you want to.
Road trip, I'm in.
Okay, so we'll follow up with this then.
Okay. See if there's anything else. Reasonable expenses.
Carl, I just wanted to clarify one thing that the ultimate decision for a grease trap then, once all the equipment's in place, is going to be the plumbing inspector's decision whether it has to go in or not, right? Depending on equipment.
Yeah,
That's
there are
how
certain
it's-
triggers, there are certain triggers, and a three-basin sink is one of the
Right,
triggers.
no,
If he sees
I
that,
understand that,
then
and I understand the other avenues you mentioned, but I guess the bottom line is, it would be plumbing inspector's decision,
Not unless there's,
Yeah, and,
based on equipment, yeah.
if there's an architect involved, it'll be the architect's decision.
Okay, I guess I was just
The base
confused on where the
deci-
final decision comes from, that's all.
the decision starts back at the, when the plans are submitted to the state's food.
Yeah, and obviously there's trigger items, a
And then they
three-basin
say,
sink, right,
you know,
right, yeah.
here's
How,
what you
what
need
kind
to
of
do.
preparation, right.
Then it flows
Okay.
down, and the plumbing inspector does have to confirm that it's sized right, that it, that the right equipment's
Okay.
there, that it's the right size for the right flows and so forth. But the inverse is, just because the plumbing inspector inspects it and signs off is not a guarantee that they didn't need a grease trap and didn't put it in.
All right, yeah.
I was hoping it was that
you'd say
simple,
it's
that
a
we could just say,
little
okay,
confusing.
plumbing inspector signed off, it must be good.
Okay,
If the plans never got submitted, nothing ever triggered any agency to tell them they had to have a three-basin sink.
gotcha.
Now, you would hope that during the inspection, someone would pick up on that. So for example, when they go for their Board of Health inspection, they would say, okay, where's your grease trap? Or when they go through your final inspections between the building and the plumbing inspector, they'll say, where is your grease trap? I mean,
Yeah, yes. And that's what the Neshoba Board of Health would do, as it's who we contract to do it.
Right.
And when they go in to do the inspection, exactly right, that's what they do.
Okay.
Okay. Again, but the assumption is that things were done right before there. Or else the
Or it gets that
Neshoba
far,
Board of Health
right.
doesn't even know there's a restaurant there.
Sure.
Okay. I lost my agenda. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, and we're still waiting on town buildings to try to determine, again, now that we've got the three-bay sink, and whether they require grease traps. It's Jimmy's working on it, I think, also. So, that's still out there.
Okay, 70 Leisure
70
Ave.
Leisure. This was
Leisure.
the house that became a duplex, and we assessed an additional privilege fee, because he had only been charged one betterment, and we assessed two. So he recently received that assessment. His prior betterment has now about 15 years left, and he'd rather pay this 11.5 off in 15 years as opposed to the 10 that's required of privilege fees. So he's making the request, and I think it's in the package, how he wrote it, that he, well, I think he wrote it just that he was requesting the 10 years, but his preference would be to go the 15, and that would need, because the bylaw states 10 years or less,
Right.
it would need some sort of an exception that you approve of, but I need to advise the collectors. As of right now, it'll be 10 years, but he's requesting that you consider allowing him to go 15.
So is there, just from the mechanism, I'm not sure of the mechanism, is there a mechanism to have, a 15 and a 10 all running?
The collector's office is working on that. At first, they were thinking it might be easier to, or hard to have two, but I think they have found a way. So,
And if it's part of the bylaw, can we do anything to,
I know.
I don't know how we would change that.
Right. I think it's part of the bylaw. I don't think it's negotiable. You have to go to town meeting to,
I mean, it's set up that way for a reason.
it was just an odd situation where he's got the other one going, so I figured we'd ask and have the discussion. I will advise him.
Mr. Chair, would that be the town clerk's, not the town clerk, but the town collector's
Tax collector.
decision? I mean, to me, cash flow is cash flow.
What's the question?
Would that be a decision that the town collector would make up?
No, because it's our betterment bylaw. It's how it's assessed.
It's our betterment, but they can change the way they pay. The collectors, not us. I mean, our bylaws are clear, but I mean, if the assessors, you said they were working on it, looking at it?
I think what
No,
they're
the
working
cl-
on is the mechanism for having two separate, having a
Betterments.
15-year one and a 10-year one. But
I mean,
I think they got to figure that out.
Yeah,
Because it's in the bylaw, so I mean, we certainly can't test it.
I would say keep
With that.
working with the,
Right.
Okay. That's the easiest way to go anyway. And then Fitchburg.
Ooh, Fitchburg IMA. Jeez. You guys are getting sick of hearing me talking. Huh?
it's okay.
Fitchburg IMA. I'm not going to say we're close again, but just as an update, the Fitchburg Sewer Commission has approved what's on the table right now. It's through them. They have submitted it to the Fitchburg City Council, who is scheduled to meet on the 7th of November.
So that means we're gonna be able to put this to bed.
I think we're extremely close now. As I said,
Bring them covers up and tuck them in.
I think, right, if the Fitchburg City Council, do whatever they need to do, but their sewer commission's approved it, ours has 3 out of 5 of the Board of Selectmen had been involved in the process and okayed it right along, so right now it's on the agenda for the Board of Selectmen, and assuming the Fitchburg passes it on the 7th. On the 19th, it's on the Board of Selectmen's agenda to approve it. I'll attend that for whatever questions, but Bob Ebersol is the sidekick on this from day one, so I'll be there to support it however we need to, but hopefully on the 19th it'll be done. So, that's good. Highfield Village,
Highfield.
what's happening?
At the planning board, they officially approved the extension through January 31st. It was expiring Thursday, so that's one. And the peer review is with Weston and Sampson, and they have been speaking with the developer, and that's moving ahead. So Steve Peterson is hoping to be able to do the review this week. They were talking about the check and being paid, so he's hoping to have it done this week. So we're waiting on that.
Good.
Now, are they being kept up to date, what's going on with our IMA with Fitchburg? I feel.
I haven't.
Yeah, they haven't
Talked
asked,
to 'em, haven't asked.
been asking anymore. They must have, I think. Kent spoke with the planning board last night, and Marion just said, the discussion was, that Kent talked about the project, MIPA, and our review at the meeting, so I'm assuming they're moving ahead. I haven't heard any more questions on the IMA.
So there's clearly nothing they need from us for the MIPA reviews or anything? There's been no more requests?
No.
So, okay. So the IMA will be done hopefully before it becomes an issue as far as they're concerned.
Right.
Good.
Good. All right.
Administrative matters.
Administrative, just to kind of close the book on it, 134 Leominster Shirley Road, the Honey Farms at the end of Pioneer Drive. Went through. I talked with Roger Brooks. The building department has a whole sign-off process, and so I couldn't sign off because it's not our sewer, so Roger Brooks agreed and said everything was up to his requirements, and so that's been done, but I just wanted to.
Mr. Chair, just to let you know, they are opening tomorrow, so.
They are tomorrow.
I'll be there getting gas at 7:30, yeah.
All right. Free coffee and donuts, or?
They should.
Just an idea.
Just an idea.
Just throwing it out there.
We better review our ethic laws, Mr. Chair.
Not just for the commission,
Dollars.
general public.
General public, okay. Bless you.
We also we have received a new credit request from 51 Electric, and I think it was in the packages. This is the same one that you approved on August 27th, where they put in a new lawn and we're watering and I'll read you the letter that we sent September 4th. Sewer Commission met on August 27th, and approved your adjustment to your bill, given that historically you've used no more than 900 cubic feet per quarter. Past quarter, it's jumped to 3,900 cubic feet per your explanation of having sod delivered and watering it 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Going forward, the commission will require the resident's submittal in advance of the watering. And then we explained what the credit was. And then her new letter, once dated October 14th, we are once again requesting an abatement in our sewer bill. After receiving the water bill for 6/7 through 9/11, it was just as much as the previous one. I knew the sewer bill would again be very high. Through June, July, August, we were watering the lawn 2 times a day, 2 sections for 30 minutes each time, and just recently decreased it to once a day, both sections for 15. If you will review our previous sewer bills from the beginning of having town sewer, has always been the minimum. So, thank you again for your consideration. So, the new bill has 3,700 cubic feet. It will equate to a bill of $425.50. The last one we did reduce down, I don't have what it would have been, but we reduced it down to 103. So, no, it would have been 448, so.
When was the original request?
The original request was received August 27th.
August 27th.
We sent out the bill. She probably got our bill August 1st approximately.
And it doesn't mention, so, because August 27th, so they were already in to the next quarter.
In the period of being watered.
Didn't say anything about it, or?
Right. She was just talking about how it had been.
Is this going to be like ongoing?
I mean, it sounds like
they're going to continue to water the sod every month, or?
Well, they're not done yet, from the sounds of it.
Well, she said she just
They're cutting
recently,
back.
decreased it to once a day for 15 minutes.
But now,
Maybe they should put an irrigation meter in.
next summer, when the heat comes next summer?
I would, Mr. Chair, I would say we already gave her credit. She even said in the letter that she knew she was going to get a high bill. Then you put an irrigation meter in. My recommendation.
Yeah, to me, an irrigation meter would resolve it. I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's,
Put a little onus on
why she
her.
didn't back then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because we're already into the next quarter, right? So we're going to get one of these next quarter. I mean, I was not happy the first time, as I think I expressed with this, and we all said, we should give her consideration.
Which we did.
We did, so now it's time for her to do something.
Unless you want to wait for the next quarter and monitor her bill, see what the next one is. Or their bill, I'm not sure of the people.
How much is is she looking to?
It's going to be $425. When we reduced it down to what her standard one,
Once you get it
900,
done.
it was $103.50. So it's looking for $320 credit.
She's looking for how much?
$320.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what credit did we give her already?
325 last time,
Mr. Chair,
345 actually.
my opinion would be no on that one.
Any other comments and opinions?
I kind of conclude with Dave that I mean, you kind of knew if you're going to water your lawn, it's going to, unless you have an irrigation meter, you're going to
Right.
have to pay for it.
It's not going into the sewer, though.
Fortunately, it's not going in the sewer. Can I see the letter we sent her again? That was in August.
We sent it early September.
Oh, September.
We met in August.
Yeah, I don't know, because in the letter that we sent her on September 4th, you know, we were real clear. Going forward, the commission will require the residents' submittal in advance of the watering.
And again, I saw the letter that we sent her. That's why I'm adamant of, I mean, if we didn't send the letter out the way we did, yes, but it was pretty clear in that letter.
Oh, it's pretty clear, an irrigation
What was
meter
the
would
date of that
eliminate
letter?
this.
This letter?
That we
September 4th.
sent.
September 4th. So it was almost 2 months ago.
Mr.
And
Chairman.
She didn't
Oh.
come back and say, oh geez, I'm still doing it. What do I do?
Well,
We would have said,
again,
put a meter in and,
that's right.
Yeah. I think our advice to her is, put your irrigation meter in and go from there,
yep.
and the bill will go away on its own. She's gonna need it for next year anyhow. She's gonna wanna water her lawn next year.
After all this, I presume she's not gonna let her lawn die. So is there, so we have on the table a request for, what's the right technical word?
Credit.
Credit. Is there a motion regarding this request for credit?
Mr. Chair, I put a motion that we deny the request. We denied the request because of the letter that we sent her notifying her that this is a one-shot deal.
Right.
So that's the reason why I would decline it.
A second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I think we should table it and send her a letter saying, if she wants any more credits, put the irrigation meter in, and then we'll talk.
Well, I've got a seconded motion on the table, so.
Well, this is discussion, so.
This is
Discuss-
discussion,
the
yeah.
discussion
So
part.
that's-
I'm saying let's table his motion, or just amend it to,
Mr. Chair, I can amend my motion that we deny this upon the request that Mr. Bellotta just put in, as far as putting a meter in, which is a good idea.
Could you rephrase that, unless you got it,
No, I
Barb?
didn't
got
get it.
confused.
you didn't get that?
Should I withdraw?
you're-
Should I agree with.
Depending on the motion of a
I
meter.
bet your Lois got it.
Did you understand that?
So
Yeah.
you were withdrawing the motion or modifying the motion? Or?
Again, my heart's telling me, let it go, but Mr. Bellotta brought up a good point. We'll give her credit if she puts an irrigation meter in. So I would, I guess, modify my motion to say, if she puts an irrigation meter in and shows us the installation, who does that? A plumber?
I mean,
Shows us that it's
we
been
have a form,
installed,
don't we?
we will credit her the money. If she doesn't put it in, meter in, that's a good point. I mean, that's the way to stop this.
Otherwise, she's gonna be back next month, looking for, or next quarter, looking for another credit.
Yeah, probably not if we deny this one.
That's true, too.
So the motion is if we'd advise her that if she puts in an irrigation meter and shows us the proof that it was installed, then we'd issue a credit.
Would issue credit.
Okay, just to complete it, so I'm with you so far. We would,
Look with
I'm sorry,
favor.
are we waiving this based on her putting, so she would need to
Put a meter in.
put a meter in and plumbing inspection or whatever, we would give us the meters in and we would waive this?
Yes.
What about this quarter,
What the
quarter
quarter that
coming.
would,
the one we're in?
The one we're in?
I hope she's not watering her grass out there now.
I would,
This was till September
I believe her
11th.
letter stated that she's only watering once a day now, or so.
So she
I wouldn't
won't use
expect
less,
it to
it's
jump
half
up.
as much, but.
Should be,
Right, yeah.
I think
So
this,
I would suggest that we just add to that, as you said, that if she brings in proof of installing a meter,
Yep.
we would waive this one.
we would waive this one.
But this quarter is whatever the bill
It
is.
is what it is. Yep.
Including what's done.
Yes. Yep.
And if she gets the meter in quick, it'll be,
I think that's a good.
got that motion?
I think that's a fair solution.
yeah,
I think it's very fair.
very fair.
All right. If she,
Well, how much fairer we can get
second that.
without giving her free
We're
water.
good? You,
I think, let her, if she puts in an irrigation, shows that it's installed, credit would be issued for the current invoice, that one will stand as billed.
What?
Is that what you're
say
saying?
again?
The current, right now, we're in October,
Yes.
so the next invoice is what you were talking about. That there will be no credit on that, the next invoice.
Right, yeah. I think what we're saying is that if she brings in
She must
to
use the water up.
our, meeting in the end of November, whatever, proof of installing a water meter, we'll waive this. If she doesn't,
Goes for the last.
and I think we need to have a time limit,
The three that are running.
not just to drag out, that by the end of November,
she's gonna be looking-
Or if you,
Bring that in.
when's the next bill coming out? January?
February 1st.
yeah, I'm thinking of waiving this one. We don't like, because we gotta go back to
Not waive
Leominster.
it, but credit it.
Credit it, but we gotta go back to Leominster
So let's give her until, what, the November 15th?
by whatever, I think our next meeting is, right? We get it before our next meeting.
Yep.
Not next meeting, I'm sorry, the end of November meeting.
End of
We need to talk about that, because that's the week of Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Proof of installing a meter, then we'll credit this.
Okay.
But the quarter we're in, the reading is the reading,
Okay.
minus whatever she has in the
Minus what?
irrigation meter. I mean,
If she has one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll stand for the fall.
last time.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
We
All in
need a
favor?
vote.
Aye.
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 Okay. I think, yeah. And Jay seconded the amended one, right? I think.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Everybody received, Carrie had sent out a new batch of open meeting law.
Yeah.
Been a lot of discussion, I guess, so she wanted everyone aware. Permits to connect, since we spoke last, 30 John Street had come in, and I don't know, is this on this one? Anyway, 62, 64, 66 Riley has come in for a triplex. Maybe I put that on the last one, it seems familiar. And maybe it didn't get on here. Couple invoices, I have Copeland and Page, which is primarily Lancaster Ave happening.
Conveyance primarily?
Right. And
You didn't get a packet.
it had the indemnification, I think, also on there. There's bits and pieces, but it is primarily
Oh,
Lancaster.
for Aubuchon?
Right.
And 40B.
Yep. the discussion of fees.
Okay, I didn't know, actually, shame on me, I didn't realize that we were paying for the legal on the 40B.
Well, it was our question on the Lunenburg Village. Whether, how we get to come at it. With the current fees versus going back to the time of the application. And then Fitchburg, it's once again the expected estimated one. I will have a new amount for them hopefully by the end of the week.
Okay.
So it's the standard 11,278.
Mike loves these, so pass them down.
Now how much I love the bills.
There was another training happening on the 20th. I don't think I'm gonna do it. Okay. And the next meeting will be November 12th at the DPW at 7 PM.
Okay.
And that's all I had.
Speaking of meetings, just want to make sure the second meeting in November is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And I just want to make sure that everybody's okay with that, or if not, discuss rescheduling.
It might be a tough day. A lot of people on vacation.
Yeah.
I have also a proposal.
You have a proposal?
My daughter returns from Korea on the next meeting, which is December 10th.
Party.
So I won't be here. So I wondered if we could push the one from the Thanksgiving week to the following week, which is then a week before the 10th. It's just something to think about.
Right now,
If it matters that I won't be here on the 10th.
Right now, we're scheduled for the 26th, right? Of November.
Right.
Can we change?
Just combine them,
Be like this.
combine the 11/26 and the
As long as you
12/10 and
notify everybody,
have it
you can
on the 3rd.
Oh, okay, so you weren't proposing we have one on the 3rd and the 10th?
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
just one on
saying.
the 3rd?
Right, moving the November one out a week.
That's a good idea, because we could also, I don't know when I suspect the last one in December we don't want to have
The
either,
last one in
so,
December is New Year's Eve
yeah.
Christmas Eve.
or Christmas Eve.
Or Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
neither one of those
So,
works.
It's gonna be tough either way,
So the 3rd.
yeah, I think so.
unless Santa Claus comes up.
So you could have the 3rd and the 17th.
You can have the 3rd and the 17th, or you can just have the 3rd and see how it goes, what's
Yeah,
going
and the
on.
3rd, we can decide whether or not
Yeah,
to
if we
do the
want.
17th, but just so we can have something in the calendar.
Might not need the second one.
7th.
Right.
So if we go, Mr. Chair, I'd recommend we go to the 3rd and play it by ear at that point. And that would be at the DPW.
Right.
So, that sounds good. So the 3rd, and tentatively the 17th, if we think we need one.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, the 31st is a regular scheduled meeting, and that would be canceled as well. So we'd go right into the 14th at that point. So you might want to think about the 17th, because it'll be 3-4 weeks before we meet again.
17th of December.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we set them up, and, if we, on the 3rd, it doesn't look like there's much activity, we can decide about the 17th, but I think having them planned out that way is good.
All right, so we're canceling the
26th.
26.
We're still on, yeah.
Postpone.
We don't, we meet on the 5th? What, November 5th?
3rd? Oh, the 12th of November.
12th of
12th
November
of November,
is the
2nd.
next one.
Okay.
And then not again until the 3rd of December.
I don't know if I'll be here on the 12th of November. I have an appointment in Boston with my lung doctor. So
More important.
if she lets me out early enough, I'll be here.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. That's a good plan. This is yours.
Okay.
And there was, Mike still got the middle. Mike still got that one. Okay, that it?
That was it for
We're
me.
good? Any last things by anybody before we adjourn?
Yeah, that
Yes, good point.
charge that they want to do with the computer, can we take that out of that enterprise fund we have to do all in?
The project funds.
Good question.
I don't see why we couldn't, because that's it's still in the first phase.
We should look into it, for sure.
Yeah. And if we can, we might as well do them all now and get it over with.
I would probably recommend get one up and running, so.
Yeah, I think
And then go from there,
that's
yeah.
pretty clear, but we could do them pretty quick. I think that would probably happen pretty quick, and then we could maybe do the rest.
But see if we can get it out of the enterprise fund anyhow.
Okay. Barb?
We keep committing to those monies. We've got several things happening with those project funds.
Oh, yeah, are we doing a extension somewhere?
We have to connect laterals and stubs for the drum property. We're doing Eagle Heights.
That's the one I'm
Recommit at the
thinking
senior
of.
center.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Right.
That's the big
Right.
one, yeah.
I can look there. I know I have several, because we keep talking about using that. But I know Carrie wants to use it quickly, so I think we also have
We can
that
help.
to consider.
We'll use it, we don't mind.
We're here to help.
So,
Aren't they supposed to put the extension
Good idea,
down to the primary school too?
that's that Eagle Heights Senior
That's
Center.
Eagle Heights, okay.
Yep. We have several commitments on those project funds.
Have we got any more?
Stan Barney's remediation of Mass Ave was also, Jack mentioned that a couple weeks ago, that Stan has asked about that. So there's a lot of things where we have the earmarked for.
Maybe
That one
next
I
week we
still-
could look into that.
Right.
Okay, great idea, Butch, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, a motion to
Hey, let's
adjourn?
use the money up.
And don't forget Halloween night. Trick or treating from 6 to 8.
Oh, okay,
We're all going to your house.
okay. Did I hear a motion to adjourn? No? Yes, please?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Thank you, moved. All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Great. Thank you all,
Get
and
out
good
there
night.
in TV land. Bye-bye. Come again.